Welcome to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. I am your host, Ellie, and joining me today is Flux. Got that
Hello.
backwards?
You threw me off then.
We've known each other too long. We're already forgetting our names. Well, I mean, I picked this wacky, online name Flux. I don't know why you picked Ellie. I mean, you must have made that up at some point. It can't be a real name, could it? Oh, wait.
Yeah, I copied it off a Diablo 2 character.
Yeah, one of those NPCs. Yeah, me too. So,
I think you're forgetting something.
as we said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the event in Gamescom, we would introduce the podcast in German if someone provided us with a translation. And unfortunately, some happy reader did that for us. And you were going to do that, right, Ellie? Oh, wait, I was going to do that.
No, you were going to do that. It's provided by Pixartist. Pixartist. That's it. Pixartist. Right, get on
Anyway,
with
it's
it.
welcome to Assuming. Okay, moving right along then. Given my flawless pronunciation in all cases, this will go very well. But willkommen to zum Diablo podcast, which probably sounded like a Czechoslovakian instead of a German, but can't be helped.
It sounded like it to me. But what do I know? I'm English.
I'm not. First topic, Ellie.
First playthrough.
At some time, you're going to have Diablo 3 in your hot little hands, and possibly even your sticky little sausage fingers.
Hmm.
Your first playthrough. Have you given? It's not going to be like the beta, which is just a little bit. It's not going to be like one of the demos at BlizzCon. It's going to be the whole game, right up until you squeeze the eggs out of Tyrael. At least that's what I'm hoping the end will be. I could be wrong though. How have you given thought to this? What's your first character going to be? What's your first playthrough? Are you going to zoom right through the whole thing? Are you going to linger over the content?
Oh, I go hot and cold on this. But sometimes I think I'll probably have a wee go with each 5 characters before I settle with one of the ones that I think I want to play. And then other times I think, no, I'll take the one character I want and I'll play it through normal, nightmare, and hell, and then move on to another class. And then I think, what class do I want to be? And then I flick from week to week between wizard and demon hunter. And today's class of choice is wizard, but that may change tomorrow.
Do you think that the beta will change your mind once you get a chance to play, an hour or an hour and a half at the start with all 5 classes? Will that make up your mind?
No, I think I'll have to go through all of normal. See, if I got the full game today, I would play the wizard all the way through to normal, and if she didn't grab me by the end of it, then I would try it again with Demon Hunter. But if she did, I would carry on through to level 60.
It sounds like you're focusing on the ranged classes.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Is that a girl? Is that a girl thing?
Well, no, it's not a girl thing, but it must be a me thing. I must be more inclined that way because I usually play rogue or I play a warlock. So yeah.
So you like to shoot things from a distance and not let them get close enough to touch you.
Yeah.
That's a girl thing, at least in real life.
Is it?
Well, if you get in close, then there's the sticky sausage fingers getting all over you. So.
What will you do on the first day that you get the full game?
Well, this comes up on our forum threads a lot, and I usually say, perhaps playing for sympathy, that I don't really get to play it as I want because, website.
Yeah.
So my first playthrough pretty much has to be zoom, 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 go through the whole game as fast as possible just to get a bunch of screenshots and information for the wiki and for the news updates and stuff. And so I can post massive spoiler things on the front page about how Tyrael's the evil enemy and you must destroy him in the end, or not. But
that'll be popular.
It's already it's in the draft right now, just in case, so it's ready to go whenever the moment comes. First second it's on sale. Yeah, I finished it. Everything's different. No, of course not. But if that were not the case, I think that I would go fairly slow. I'd probably do actually not that differently than what you're doing. I would like to go through all of normal and maybe a little bit of nightmare. Just I want to see all the skills and try all the I want to try everything in variety out. And even though I'm not a big fan of the free spec system of Diablo 3, where you can just change your skills around anytime forever, I think that'll kind of kill replayability long term. But I think in the short term, my first character at least, that'll be cool because I can really just, as soon as a new skill gets available, bang, throw it slotted in there, switch out something else. And so, and I mean, however long it'll take to play through normal, 10 or 12 or 8 or 16 hours or whatever, you can get a pretty good sense of having tried every skill in lots of different varieties and places. And kind of, I mean, obviously it's not like you played the entire game through Nightmare and Hell and Inferno and everything else. But
Mm.
it'll be fun just to try out every character, every skill. Obviously not every runestone at that point. I don't think I'll socket all 5 runestones into every single skill going through.
Probably
That'd take
not.
that'd take a while. For movies and for side information eventually, yeah, but not my first playthrough. But
No.
yeah, I think I would like to experience all the basic stuff with all the character classes, except for maybe that one that's no fun. No, I'll skip that one, but the rest of them for sure.
I see in the thread, well, I saw one guy saved up a week's holiday expecting it's going to come out this year. Other people are going to take days off work, take sick leave. They've given this a lot of thought.
Yeah, the Diablo flu will strike, I'm pretty sure.
I'll take some time off. I won't go to the gym on any of those the first few days. I'll probably eat all unhealthy food. I'll give myself the opportunity to do that. I'll have the pizza place on fast style. It'll just be like a big, sort of like a holiday. Allow yourself to indulge and just sit around and not even get dressed out of your jammies in the morning.
So, and what happens if there's 10 million sales in 3 days and Battle.net comes to a crashing stop and everyone's ping time is, 3,500 milliseconds?
Oh, there'll be extreme amounts of queuing on internet forums, I'm sure. Everyone
Can't,
will be,
we'll
oh,
just go play single player, right?
no, I'm afraid not.
Yeah, I think that if anything, I'm not a big fan of the no single player on no offline DRM thing.
Mm.
But if anything is going to motivate Blizzard to make sure that they have enough damn servers and capacity at launch, I think it'll be that. The fact that people are going to absolutely go berserk if they've paid $60 for this game and they can't play it for the first 2 weeks because Battle.net's not up to snuff and there's no offline mode.
They'll definitely make sure they've got Battle.net sorted out for that. They could not have dodgy servers going down every 10 minutes or whatever. It'd be a PR nightmare for them.
As you probably remember the start of World of Warcraft, it was just they had to actually stop selling the game for a while because they couldn't keep up with it was so much busier than they thought,
Mm.
and people were online so many more hours a day. Each user was on much more than they expected, so they had more people and more time, and it was just killing it. They had to add new servers frantically and scrambling, and had to actually stop game sales for a while. And we certainly hope they've learned from that. Obviously, that was years ago. And people were actually paying a monthly fee for that. Well, I guess not. You're what, free for your first 60 days or something at that point. But yeah, so we hope that'll go better, and we're all eager to play. Next topic. Resource systems. We finally got cool pictures Blizzard posted on their new Diablo 3 page of little animated GIFs of all of the resource bulbs. The health and all of the different characters, classes have their own resource bulb, and they're all swirly and beautiful. And I'm sure your favorite was the monks for various reasons.
Milk.
You coined the term we previously called it. It was sort of a white swirly and it looked a little bit like a liquid, and it was a word that rhymes with monk. That means in any
I
way. Moving
was
right along.
I was being crude. I didn't think before I spoke, so it's very rude. Now I'm calling it monk's milk instead of monk's the other thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually look like milk in the GIF. It's much more of a kind of an ivory color, and you can tell it's a gas finally. We'd only seen, people had seen photos of it from game shows, ninja photos as we call them, and gameplay videos, and it looks very white and liquidy in those pictures. But, people like myself who actually played the demos were like, look, it looks like a smoke.
Mm.
It doesn't look like a liquid. So finally, these animated GIFs, you can see that actually all of them look like, a kind of a billowing clouds inside of like a crystal ball sort of effect.
They're just absolutely gorgeous, and they're, I think, universally adored. I've only seen a few people say, not so impressed, but the vast majority of people are just really impressed with how they look. I think they can now see, as you say, they look awful.
Smoky.
I think it's really good that Blizzard have obviously going to start putting up these basic pages, because judging by some of the comments on that particular resource update on the official site, lots of people didn't even realize that each of the classes have their different resources. They thought it was health mana across the board.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are aware of Diablo 3 but don't really follow the details at all, and so it's
No,
basic information is very valuable even at this late stage. And once the game launches, people will be in there like, why is my barbarian's mana orange? Why isn't it refilling?
yeah.
It's not
It's
mana, it's fury.
You forget that sometimes when you've been following the game for so long, that there may be people out there who don't even realize that simple things like that, like you say, health mana and what have you. So, but judging by those comments on the official site, a huge amount of people were so, oh wow, I didn't realize each of the classes had their own resources. That's really cool. It's like, what? Where the hell have you been? Well, they've been living their life while we've been sadly following a game for the past 3 years.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with their time? Do they like go outside in the sun or something, or
Yeah,
like they have relatives?
they probably go out to dinner and out to the pub and doing all sorts of things out of the house. Freaks.
I know. God, can imagine. Anyway,
There
that
was one other thing in there.
horror.
One other thing. In the resources write up that Blizzard put, they mentioned Mana Steel. And a few people commented on that. Because,
Indeed.
well, we didn't think that was in, did we? Or
Well,
did
there's
we?
lots of lifesteal. It was kind of how can I say this delicately? The wording of Blizzard's official updates often leaves some ambiguity as to what they actually mean. That was nicely said, wasn't it?
So you don't think the Witch Doctor has a skill called Mana Steel then? You think that.
I don't know. That was what I was hinting at,
Right.
is that the update made it sound as though there was a skill called Monosteel. I believe it was actually capitalized, the M and the S. That was not listed as one of the Witch Doctor skills. That was not a Witch Doctor skill in the beta
Mm.
demo as of last month. Obviously, they could have put something in since then, but it seems kind of unlikely. And I think, it's not clear if they just meant that sort of a generic sense of, gaining mana more quickly. I don't know. It's risky to parse too much into their updates and details.
But what else could they be alluding to other than stealing mana?
Well, they're definitely alluding to the function of mana being gained in some way, but I don't know if they meant it by, as a general term, or if they meant it as a specific skill.
Mm.
So it's open to debate a little bit. Maybe we'll get some clarification on that. Next
Next
topic.
topic.
Blizzard, as part of their ongoing, prolonged 20th year anniversary, I think it should be the 21st year by now. This thing's been going on for so long, but they posted a bunch of photos of people with really bad hair and Zumba pants from the 80s and 90s who apparently worked at Blizzard. No, actually, they did. We know most of the people in these pictures. And just sort of what they were like in the old days, these tiny little studios, and before they had gold-plated lavatories and everything like today. A number of the photos had pictures from Blizzard North and of the Diablo statue and some of the stuff from E3 in like 99 and 2000 and that time frame back in the
Mm.
good old days, as we like to think of them as. I'm sorry, the old days. And we enjoyed that, of course, because we actually had more photos of that stuff than they posted. They posted, 4 or 5 pictures. And you put up a whole gallery from, I believe it was E3 '99, yes?
Yes, December 99. No, 99, sorry, yeah, no. Yes, it was. Yes.
Could you bring on someone who knows what those pictures were, please? If you don't seem to understand
God, that
them.
was a lifetime ago. Yeah, it was
Indeed.
E3. Speaking of bad hair, one of those pictures actually, you're in it, aren't you?
It's
And you
just the bad angle.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
I
No,
had,
it isn't. You look like a Georgian dandy.
what the hell is a Georgian dandy?
Oh, I'll have to put a picture on the podcast. But your hair, you're talking about the Blizzard guys with their bad hair, and they
I
did
didn't
have
say the
bad
I
hair.
didn't say the I said there's lots of pictures of people with bad hair. I didn't say it was exclusively it's just the only Blizzard people who had it, but yes. And
Yeah.
of course there's pictures of all three of us. I mean, all three of us including Gail as well from
Mm.
Blizzard's offices in 2000 when we visited Blizzard North and got to play through damn near the whole game and saw lots of cool stuff. The first and only fan site that had been so honored at that point. Lucky us.
Yeah. Ooh. Their offices in back in that day, they were really humble. When their 20th anniversary went up, obviously I started looking at some of our old photos as well, and I just didn't realize how different their offices then are to now. I mean, they really were quite pokey by comparison, weren't they?
Yeah, no gold plated anything.
Yeah.
Interesting thing on that post is the post I put up with that. Someone in the comments jumped in there, some anonymous commenter, and went through the picture and said listed everybody's name in the big photo of Blizzard North, said it was from I believe '97, he said it was, and listed all the names and when all of them left the company. And every single person in the picture has been gone from Blizzard for at least 3 or 4 years. Most of them left, in the 2003 or 2004 range when Blizzard North was shutting down. And it's just interesting to think, these are all the people who really, the Diablo 1 team, and then people who were all the initial people designing Diablo 2 before they really expanded the company quite a bit for that. And they gone. Bye
Mm,
bye.
mm.
greener pastures, or other pastures anyway.
Didn't you say that the Diablo costume, or the statue rather, is filled with, or did somebody else say it in the post, is has a female mannequin in it?
That's what they told me long ago. I don't recall who told me that, at visiting it. But I mean, you can see in that one picture of the lobby I posted from our update,
Mm.
it's kind of leaning to one side. It
Yeah.
looks like it's on a boat at high seas. And it was, apparently what I was told is that was like a movie quality, like a Godzilla suit kind of thing, like they'd wear in those old movies and knock down skyscrapers with, which I would actually pay to see a Godzilla, a Diablo suit, Diablo flattening Tokyo. That'd be awesome. Stomping through a little matchstick city. Anyway, it was an actual wearable suit that they put people in a few times at some of the early shows. And it started to crack, and from where it was, cracking along the joints or something. And so they decided nobody can wear this anymore. They can't exactly make
Mm.
another one very easily. But they needed something to give it some stability so it would stand upright and not just hang there like the butcher's flayed skin or something. So they put a mannequin in it. And it was fairly small inside. It's thick padding and such. So they put a female mannequin that I guess had some kind of an exoskeleton, some stiff form to it, and stood it up on a stand in their lobby at Blizzard North, and it was there forever. And I guess now it's at Blizzard Irvine somewhere, moldering away in a closet someplace probably. But they got to have it somewhere still,
Oh yeah.
unless somebody stole it when Blizzard North got shut down in 2005. Somebody smuggled it out under their arm one day with a tablecloth over it or something. Yeah, just taking some work home, Bob. Don't mind me. These red feet poking out the bottom of.
Trying to squash it in the back of your car.
You're driving home in the carpool lane. Diablo's my co-pilot. Yeah, I did wonder about that when Blizzard North was closing in '05 because it was really kind of chaotic and unceremonious, and Blizzard just kind of said you're closed now, and you can come work here or go elsewhere. They were nice to the employees more or less. They got severance packages, but it was shut down fairly quickly. And the studio had really downsized as many people had left, to form flagship studios and other places. It had shrunken by less than half the employees that used to be there. So there were a ton of empty offices. And when I was last there, I think was in '03, was right before everybody left, really. And it had, there was just tons of decorations. All these big displays they'd put together for E3s and such were just kind of, tacked onto walls and sitting in corners. And they had these like 20-foot high posters of sorceresses and stuff. And I just wonder who got that stuff. Was it all just thrown in a dumpster out back of the office one day, or did people all take it home with them and it's in their bedrooms now?
God, there would be so many fans who'd give their eye teeth for some of that stuff.
That sounded very heartfelt, didn't
It did. I was expect. Is that you sniffing? I heard you sniffing. Are you choking back the
it? Yeah,
tears?
it got a little dusty in here.
Yeah.
I love you, Bill Roper. He's a big hairy man. I want to hug him. Sorry, moving along. So, if you're playing Diablo 3 and you have money to spend and you want to look special, what will you buy? We're thinking there's going to be some kind of a DLC sort of thing. They've kind of alluded to that. Jay Wilson said they're not going to offer that when the game launches, but down the road, Blizzard says this stuff. We haven't made any concrete plans for this stuff yet. Bullshit, bullshit. Sorry, it's a thing in my throat there, but yeah, they just make up these game features at the spur of the moment. They're seat of their pants, no advanced planning. It's not like they're a multi-billion-dollar international
Mm.
corporation. They just make it up as they go. So they have no idea if they're going to have any sort of these sales yet. They haven't, worked out concept art or what people might pay for, or financial models or anything. So we're wondering what they might offer in Diablo 3. They're not going to sell gear. It's not going to be, pay to win, as the haters say. And they're not going to sell, Uber Wind Force of the gods that'll make you the strongest character in the game for $50. Other people might sell that, but you'll need to buy it from other players. It's going to be a found item. Blizzard's not
Hang
going to
on.
sell
Hang on. Hang on.
anything that
Hang
breaks
on. Hang
things.
on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on.
Did you
Do
want to
you
get a word
think?
in edgewise, my dear?
Yes, I do have something to say.
Go right ahead.
Do you really think they're going to sell DLC?
Yes,
You do.
I'll absolutely guarantee they will sell.
So you're
They're
not
not going to
talking
sell
that.
game breaking stuff. They're going to sell capes or different hats or special graphics or that kind of stuff. But I am positive they will do that eventually.
Positive why?
Do I need
And
to name him again?
do not mention him.
Well, that's why.
He who not must
Not
must
I'm
not be
not
mentioned.
saying that he's like on the phone, screaming in their ear. Unfortunately, I listen to these financial quarterly calls they make, like the last five of them, because that's my job and it's hell. And every time that Senior Kotick speaks on those, the great thrust of his comments is how much they like digital item sales, how great they're doing with the Call of Duty map packs, the new Call of Duty Elite subscription thing. I mean, we just had a news item today that Rush sent me the link to. Record profits for Activision Blizzard for the first half, largely driven by digital downloads and sales of their games and bonus features.
Mm.
Companies love this DLC stuff because it gets existing consumers to spend a little more money, and it's very easy to produce and create. It's not like making a whole new game, and there's no sharing of the costs. They're not paying 50% for advertising. They're not giving any money to your local GameStop or whatever. It's pure profit, aside from development costs. So I am quite confident that Blizzard will attempt to expand their financial system. And it's not going to be mandatory. You're not going to need it. A lot of people will probably never even consider it. But there will be ways to make your character look different and special while doing the same stuff you're doing otherwise. And many people find that attractive and are willing to spend the money on it. I didn't say it was evil. I didn't say it shouldn't be allowed. But I think that they will definitely do it because money.
You don't think they'll make enough through the auction house?
I don't think there is enough when it comes to corporations and money.
Right. Okay. You don't think they'll sell sparklier spell graphics, do you?
That's something that people have mentioned because that's something that the Path of Exile guys are doing, and people think it's a really cool idea. I mean, when I talked to Chris Wilson, the lead developer of that on our podcast, I believe it was number 30, about a few weeks ago. He mentioned that one of the things they're doing in the game, Path of Exile is a free game, so they had to find ways for people to spend a little bit of money to make the ends meet. And you can buy there's a regular, I think it was called Stomp, his Blood Stomp is what his example was. And your barbarian or whatever the character is, their normal graphic would be like an explosion of light when you do something. And for $5, you can buy it so that graphic makes an explosion of blood instead of light. And that
Right.
seems like something that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I wouldn't really buy like a cape, for my character or a hat that makes, a little bit bigger hat or more shiny something. But if I can turn my favorite skill into a skill that looks 10 times cooler and it has the same function, that I might actually pay for.
But the spells are already up at 11 on Diablo 3 anyway, so
Yeah,
there's
that's the
no.
problem. How do they do this? Yeah, with the
Yeah.
runestones.
Yeah.
They've been turned to 12, I think, perhaps even. It might go
Mm.
past 11.
I don't think it'll be spells then.
I mean,
It is money for old rope though. How much is the flying mount in WoW? It's $25 or something, isn't it?
that's what I've been told. Well, you look at the third-party market in WoW for these virtual pets. I mean, they sell a lot of those in their store, sometimes for charity and stuff. But people will pay hundreds of dollars for the rarer virtual pets. And those have no function. I mean, they just dance next to you once in a while. The mount, you can actually ride it and use it all the time when you're playing.
Right.
Okay, next topic. Last topic.
Character names.
I was waiting for you to jump in there. Yes, unique character names. Our good friend and community manager for Diablo 3,
Bashi.
Bashia. Bashi, as his friends call him. He has, or Mika, if you prefer, his real name. Ooh, Mika. So sexy. I was having a Max Schaefer flashback there. His manly arms. Oh, this windswept crag he was standing on his white steed. Anyway, Bashiak posted. Someone asked him, "Can we have?" You stop laughing. My homoerotic fantasies. Bashiak posted about unique character names in Diablo 3. You will not have one. Any name you can make, anybody else can make. So of course the joke is there's going to be 500 Conans.
Hmm.
What else? Because what else would you name your wizard? And there's going to be Hermione's and sorry, did I say wizard? I meant monk. And Rasputins and all these other common names. But that's not anybody can make any name they want, and the differentiation comes in with your account name shows as well. So it'll be Ellie's Diablo 3 account, and Bellatrix is her wizardress or whatever, because of course that's what you'll name your wizard and your account name, because how could you not? And in Diablo 2, you had to have unique names. You couldn't, there was one Conan the Barbarian in all of Diablo 2 in theory, and no one else could get that name, and that led to a feeling of being unique, and it also led to lots of really stupid names with numbers and letters and symbols in them that everyone wanted to kill. So, what do you think, Ellie? Did you prefer the Diablo 2 system, or are you more partial to the Diablo 3? Or
Well,
do you want to giggle more about me saying Bashy?
see, just leave off Bashi and Max Schaefer and let's get on to this name business,
You mean
please.
You mean Maxi?
Maxi and Bashy. Maxi and Bashy show. Anyway, so
That'd be a good podcast. Anyway, you were saying.
um, I quite like it when I go to try and get my own name and I get it, but it's always a race to be the first on the server to get it. And when I don't, I have to put a D at the end or something, like you say. So I'm glad that I won't have to race to try and get my own name, but I guess I'm not really bothered if there's loads of people with the same name. I mean, it doesn't affect you in real life when you come across another Eric, does it? You don't suddenly get confused and start turning around in circles,
Who's Eric?
panicking. Oh,
I'm Flux.
Flux. Sorry, Flux. Oh dear, I've given away your identity now. You'll have lots of
No,
stalkers at the door.
cat's
Flux,
out, the
Flux.
cat's out of the bag now. But yeah, you weren't. I think maybe it could help for. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can argue with it either way. I don't have a real strong opinion on it. I wasn't ever really into making super elaborate, detailed role-playing names for my Diablo 2 characters. Some people do spend a lot of time thinking up their names of their characters, and it's very important to them and what they're going to call it and stuff. But I tended to just be, I'd call it, Java Flux or something like that. Java Zulf actually was one of my Java zones. So it's kind of, I guess it doesn't matter to me because original names are wasted on me anyway because I wasn't using anything special with them. Unlike you, LED.
Well, I usually go for Stabatha if I play a rogue.
Staff. But there's
Stabatha.
there's no rogues in Diablo 3.
No,
Would that be your demon hunter?
probably, yeah, Stabatha. I'd have to find some sort of name that goes with bows.
So you do spend some effort on your name. I mean, you want to get something. You're not calling it,
Yeah,
John or something or Susan.
no.
One of the things that I did a lot of in Diablo 2 was I would use Roman numerals on characters because I was playing hardcore, and I would have, I forget what I would call them, my MF, my magic find barbarian. I had
Hmm.
some name, and then I had, underscore and then I, and then underscore and then I, and then underscore and IVXLLC because I made a lot of them. So I don't. I'm wondering how that'll work in Diablo 3. I guess you can just name all your hardcore characters the same name, and if they die, they die, and you just make a new one with the same name.
Yeah, yeah.
People I knew in hardcore in D2 actually would sometimes agonize about deleting a character, because once your hardcore character died, they stayed on your account as a ghost until you deleted them. And once you deleted them, you could reuse the name. And I actually knew some people who were really, they loved a character and they were really sad that he was dead. And they'd like to keep the ghost available, like a seance or something. And they would say, I want to make a new assassin, but I can't do it because I want to make this is my assassin name, and I can't do it until I delete this character and the name is freed up. And then I would slap them several times and they'd snap out of it. But then
Wow.
that's it was a strange
Yeah.
world back in those days with our bad hair and our E3 photos.
Hmm.
But that's obviously not a problem anymore. I guess you can make. So could you? I could. You could mess with your friends' heads. Can you make on the same account? Can you make 5 Conan the Barbarians on the same account and then play different ones different days and no one actually knows which one you are?
I guess so. I guess so. What's the reaction been to this? Because I didn't read the thread.
It was
You
on
did.
BattleNet. I don't really read those threads. It kind of made me unhappy.
No.
That's the other issue. If it's your first character, you want to start playing. It's like, but I have to have a good name.
Yeah.
This character might be around forever. So you don't want to just name them, bleh.
Yeah,
You
because you're
know,
just gagging to get in there. Quick, just call it anything. Get in.
yeah, you don't want the QWERTRQQRSSSVF
Yeah.
character
Yeah.
that all your friends can call you later. But at the same time, you don't want to sit there and think about it too long because you want to start killing stuff.
Mm.
So obviously people should probably spend a little bit of time in advance planning out their character names. And at least you
Yeah.
don't have to register 5 characters the first minute the game is out just to get the names you want in case they're going to be
Mm.
gone. Diablo 3.
So that's our tip o' the week.
Yeah, there's no gold rush to be the first Conan the Barbarian on Battle.net. You can all be Conan the Barbarian.
Mm.
So that was our last topic. You had a site update thing you wanted to get into, Ellie.
Oh yes, just a real quickie. Just to say that we've this week we've added a new title to the Diablo 3 forums for people who've been making continuous updates to diablowiki.net. It's just a nod to acknowledge the work. So it's people who've been updating for quite a while, and they'll have as their title diablowiki.net Ink Slingers. Ink Slinger.
Do they
Sorry.
get perks with that as well as the name?
I haven't thought that far yet. I just wanted to give a new red title to them. So if you see them around the forum, that's who they are. They're people who are updating. People like Rising Red, Mr. Fry, and Varquin, I think his name is.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I can spell it, but I can't pronounce it.
No, Varquin. There you
Like
go.
all of the Blizzard's community managers.
Mm.
Now that we have this European, they're getting European posters as well. I learned how to spell Bashiok eventually. And now we have these European ones, and I'm posting news, and all their names are like Zithilikach or something, and I'm like, is
Yeah,
that?
but their names have to go through all sorts of checks. They
Yeah,
have to,
and one of the checks is to make sure no one can spell it, apparently.
yeah, it can't mean anything in any language. It can't be any historical character, and it has to go through all sorts of departments before it's okayed. Because I know someone who's just gone through it, and it took them ages to get a name passed. They kept putting names through to the department, and it was refused on this grounds and that grounds until they eventually got a name that they were allowed to use.
So maybe that's why all of them have about 7 vowels and can't be
Mm,
spelled or pronounced
yeah.
by humans. Okay, I think we've our topics for the week, our news attack.
Mm.
Thanks for listening. This is DiabloPodcast.com and Diablo.IncGamers.com. Bye.
Toodaloo. Mm.